This building costs more than an aircraft carrier. It has no weapons, no crew, and no windows. It's a warehouse full of blinking lights in rural Ohio, and it cost $8 billion. dollars. And it is not alone. Between 2025 and 2030, the world is on track to spend around $7 trillion on data centers. That is roughly the entire economy of Japan, spent on buildings full of computers. So where does the money actually go? Short answer, almost none of it is the building. You're not paying for concrete, you are paying for electricity, silicon, and heat. Let's get the boring part out of the way first. The shell. A concrete slab, some steel, a roof, a fence, and one very serious man at the gate. A modern facility runs about $8 to $20 million per megawatt to build. That sounds enormous. But the actual building is a rounding error inside that number. Here's the trick to understanding data centers. Nobody measures them in square feet. They measure them in megawatts. Power is the product. The building is just the box it ships in. Now the expensive part, the chips. Modern AI data centers are stuffed floor to ceiling with racks of GPUs, and the price tags are genuinely stupid. One NVIDIA GB200 rack, 72 GPUs bolted together to act as a single machine, costs roughly $3 million. That is one rack. Now fill a warehouse with thousands of them. Add it up, and the servers eat about 60% of the total cost of owning a big AI data center. The concrete is not the problem. The concrete was never the problem. It is like buying an $800 garage and then parking 40 Ferraris inside it. Nobody is standing around asking questions about the garage. Second, power. This is where it stops being a computer problem and starts being an infrastructure problem. That single $3 million rack draws about 130 kilowatts. An average house draws about 1. So one rack is roughly 130 homes, humming away in a metal box. A large campus wants 500 megawatts to a full gigawatt. That is a small city, except a city's demand rises and falls all day. A data center just pulls flat out, forever. So you cannot simply plug it in. You need substations, transformers the size of a bus, and miles of high voltage line. And the utility bills you for every bit of it. The queue is brutal. Grid connections and big transformers can take years to arrive, which is why companies now build next to power plants or skip the wait and buy the power plant. Third, heat. Every watt that goes into a chip comes straight back out as heat, all of it. A data center is, thermodynamically, a very expensive space heater that happens to do math. A 130 kilowatt rack is like standing 90 hair dryers in a closet and switching them all on at once. Plain air cannot carry that much heat away anymore. So AI racks move to liquid cooling. Cold water piped directly onto the chips, pumps, chillers, heat exchangers, and leak sensors everywhere. It is plumbing, but for a supercomputer. That adds an entire second building's worth of machinery. Cooling can double the cost per megawatt, pushing AI sites toward $30 to $40 million per megawatt all in. And it drinks. A medium-sized data center can use around 110 million gallons of water a year for cooling, roughly what a town of 10,000 people gets through. Fourth, nothing is ever allowed to break. A major outage costs millions of dollars an hour, so everything critical is built twice, sometimes 3 times. 2 separate power feeds, rooms full of batteries to cover the 8 seconds before the diesel generators wake up, and rows of generators the size of shipping containers that mostly just sit there. You are paying full price for equipment whose entire job is to do absolutely nothing forever, unless something goes catastrophically wrong. That is not waste. That is the product. Fifth, everything is a shortage. Transformers, switchgear, backup generators, turbines, and the electricians who install them. Lead times stretched from months into years. And when everybody wants the same part at the same time, you do not wait politely. You pay a premium to jump the line. Now multiply that premium across an entire supply chain. Now the part that makes accountants sweat. The building will last 30 years. The chips inside it are commercially obsolete in about 4. So the most expensive thing in the box is also the thing that rots the fastest. You finish your $8 billion build, and the clock is already running, which is why these things are financed like power plants but replaced like phones. It is an extremely expensive treadmill, and stepping off it is not considered an option. And it all got dramatically worse very recently. Older cloud data centers ran maybe 5 to 10 kilowatts per rack. AI racks want over 100. That is not an upgrade, that is a different building. Different power, different cooling, even different floor strength. Which is why the whole industry is quietly rebuilding itself from scratch. So, quick recap. 1. The building is the cheap part. Nobody is spending billions of dollars on drywall. 2. The chips are the cost. 60% of the bill, $3 million a rack, and obsolete in 4 years. 3. Power is the real constraint. Gigawatts of it, custom substations, and a grid queue measured in years. 4. Heat is the hidden twin of power. Every watt you put in comes back out, and removing it costs about as much as making it. 5. Redundancy and shortages tax everything else. You buy the important parts twice, then pay extra to get them early. So why do data centers cost billions? Because they are not really buildings. They are power stations with a math problem attached, packed with hardware that depreciates faster than a used car. And the humbling part is what it is all for. $8 billion of the most advanced infrastructure our species has ever built, so that someone can ask a chatbot whether a hot dog counts as a sandwich.